Today on OCD Space, we are talking about a theory that looks at OCD as a reasoning problem rather than a fear or a phobia. The concept is called inferential confusion. And before you stop this video because that word sounds way too complicated, don't leave just yet. I am going to push through the jargon and make it clear that this concept is not only super easy to understand, but may also take your OCD treatment to the next level. As always, if you're enjoying my videos, please be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. And with all that out of the way, let's get started. Hey guys, welcome back to OCD Space. I'm Mike Parker, and this is your place for all things OCD. Today I want to talk about inferential confusion. This is the underlying theory that explains why you develop obsessions from the inference-based perspective. Now, traditionally, most other approaches look at OCD as a phobia. From this perspective, an obsession is just a fear gone haywire. You get stuck with this intense emotional response to certain thoughts, ideas, and images, and the treatment involves purposefully and repeatedly exposing yourself to your feared situations to uncondition that fear. This is not unlike what you'd do for a fear of heights, or a fear of spiders, or God forbid, the dreaded fear of boy bands, which requires you to watch videos of bye, 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 and I want it that way on repeat. Sorry, I thought I was over that one. But there are actually problems with viewing OCD as a phobia. For starters, a phobia is something that typically gets triggered when you are in the presence of the thing you fear. And so you get scared when you see a spider, or when you're on a high bridge, or you hear the Backstreet Boys playing in the supermarket. Sorry. OCD, on the other hand, gets triggered based on something you're imagining. And so it's sort of a different thing. The other issue we want to notice is that OCD obsessions tend to involve objectively bad things. I mean, think about it. Who wouldn't be freaked out if they discovered that they were covered in something gross, or that they were being rejected by God, or that one of their important relationships was about to fail, or that they were someone with dangerous or taboo desires? Anyone, if put into one of these situations, in reality, would experience fear and would act exactly like someone engaging in OCD compulsions. The truth is that these are healthy things to be afraid of, and I'd personally be worried if I met someone who wasn't bothered to learn that they were in one of these situations. The problem then isn't the fact that you have a fear of one of these things. The problem from an ICBT perspective is that you have concluded that one of these things is happening. That is the difference between someone with an obsession and someone without an obsession, a faulty conclusion. With I-CBT, we are starting from the assumption that you are a logical person who doesn't waste your time on pointless things. When it comes to OCD, you are spending loads of time thinking about your OCD concern, whether that's your health or contamination or harm or morality or sexuality, because you actually believe that it makes sense to do so. Essentially, you have logicked your way into this situation. And inferential confusion is the thing that explains how and why you came to truly believe that your health or your morality or your cleanliness is in question. Now, inferential confusion has three components. The first is a distrust of the senses and the self. The second is an over-investment in possibility. And the third is applying out-of-context facts to the self. These three elements work together to dislodge you from your sensory world and absorb you in a headspace of abstract possibility. Let's start with component one, a distrust of the senses and the self. With any OCD obsession, we will find that there is a basic reality that we could trust and stick with. It's a simple, surface-level, unalarming reality, and it's based completely on sensory information we have in the present moment. We use our five senses to collect data about our environment. We also have inner senses, which give us access to information about who we are and what our desires and intentions are. And we use our common sense to put it all together without excessive deliberation. It is absolutely necessary for us to trust our senses and the sensory world if we want to stay connected to our reality. But with OCD, we will find that someone has reasoned their way into distrusting one or more of these senses. Someone with contamination says, I can't detect microscopic things, so I shouldn't trust my sensory reality. I need to react to things that might be there beyond my senses. Someone with a sexual obsession says, well, what I think I like and don't like, that could just be the result of denial or societal programming. So I need to go deeper and uncover any hidden and repressed desires I might have. Someone with moral OCD says, I could trust the fact that I have good intentions and I'm always trying to better myself, but what if I'm actually selfish and bad? And what if God disapproves of me and I'm just deluding myself? In all of these situations, we can see a distrust of and a rejection of a simple reality. And this distrust is the basis of inferential confusion. We then move on to component 2, which is an overinvestment in possibility. When we trust our senses, possibilities are just distant, abstract things until they are confirmed by direct evidence in the present moment. We live like we don't have cancer until we find out we do have cancer. We don't worry about being a harmful person until we're actively taking steps to do something bad, and we really want to harm someone. We don't worry about being a gross person until we are visibly dirty and smell horrible. But when you don't trust some aspect of your senses, all sorts of possibilities suddenly seem relevant. They are considered, explored, and tested out, and you become absorbed in an experience. You begin to imagine what it would be like if the possibility were occurring, and you feel the feelings you would feel if the possibility were true. And you just have this very convincing imaginative experience. Over time, the possibility blurs with reality, and you walk around half in your senses and half in your imagination. With a moral obsession, you start to feel like a bad person, and with health OCD, you start to feel like someone with a health problem. All right, so that is 2 elements of inferential confusion down and 1 more to go. And if you are still here, now is the perfect time to hit like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. Are you someone interested in inference-based cognitive behavioral therapy for OCD? Well, I have 2 trainings available online, one for clinicians and a self-help course for people with OCD. If you're interested, check them out on my website, ICBTtrainingonline.com. Rounding out our understanding of inferential confusion is the third component, applying out-of-context facts to the self. This is basically a form of reverse reasoning where you start out with a scary possibility and then you start identifying evidence that might support it. This can lead you to pull in quote-unquote evidence from all sorts of places. You might have seen a documentary on a scary person and ask yourself if you might be just like that person. You might pull up a memory of something you did as a child and use that as evidence to support a doubt about yourself in the present. You might start to focus on anxiety sensations and use them as evidence of a health problem. You might start using a rule from your religion in an extreme way, such as, I should always repent for every single one of my sins. And it's this third element of inferential confusion that really solidifies your obsession. All of this information, which in reality is just cherry-picked and completely out of context, convinces you that the scary situation is actually happening, or about to happen, or at least highly relevant to you in some way. And that is inferential confusion in a nutshell. It is a completely different explanation for OCD. But when I share this with people, The usual reaction that I get is, yes, that is exactly what I do. Now, the really great news is that reasoning is fixable. You can absolutely learn to stop thinking your way into your obsession. It's simply a matter of understanding why you're doing it and knowing what alternative, healthy reasoning looks like. With ICBT, that starts with reconnecting with the reality of your senses. You identify the simple reality that your senses are providing and work only from that information. There will be sense gaps and limitations to your senses, but that's just part of your reality. You work on trusting and staying in the sensory world anyway, without crossing over into your imagination. This essentially means going about your business and living like you're okay until undeniable evidence comes to you that a scary possibility is occurring. You also work on recognizing that all possibilities will always be possible. But we don't deal with them by allowing them into our reality and then tolerating them. In fact, we don't deal with possibilities at all unless life confirms that they are occurring. Possibilities without undeniable evidence are irrelevant to us. And you start to see all of that out of context evidence for what it is, information that has nothing to do with you in the present moment. The goal with treatment is to return to being a self-sufficient human being. The truth is that you've always had everything you need, just using your own abilities to construct a healthy understanding of yourself and the world around you and to repel doubt. You've never needed reassurance or checking or internet research. You've only ever needed to trust your own ability to make sense of reality. And you can absolutely learn to do that again. So with all that said, I hope this video has been helpful to you all. Until next time, guys, take care and trust yourselves.